Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are really getting into a topic that, well, it's everywhere, isn't it? Artificial intelligence.
It really is. But we want to look past the headlines.
Exactly. We're focusing on the actual practical impact AI is having on marketing right now.
And for this, our source is, it's fascinating. It's a conversation between two marketing experts.
Right. And crucially, these aren't just people talking about AI.
No, they're in the thick of it, actively using the tools, experimenting, testing things out in the real world.
That's what makes this different. Our mission today is to cut through that surface level hype. You know, the idea that AI is just this magic wand for creating blog posts.
Yeah, like it's just for content.
We want to uncover where these experts, based on their own hands-on experience, are finding the real value. Where is it saving time? Where is it actually helping?
Okay, so let's start where most people probably think of AI first. Content creation.
Right. Blog posts, social media stuff, emails, that whole area. The promise is always speed, right? Volume.
Exactly. You put in a prompt and boom, content.
But when these experts actually tested that, put the AI output side by side with human work, what did they find?
Well, their take, and this is based on a lot of testing they did, was pretty direct.
Okay.
They found the results from a lot of the current AI tools, specifically for churning out content, were, well, the word they kept using was mediocre.
Mediocre. Compared to, like, a skilled person writing it?
Yeah, compared to manually created content, just not the same level.
Okay, mediocre. That's not exactly glowing praise for all the buzz.
Yeah.
Did this mediocre content actually, do anything, like drive traffic?
That's the key question, isn't it?
Yeah.
In their experiments, purely AI-generated content, used on its own, it wasn't really moving the needle on traffic.
Huh.
And they actually went further. They said, trying to completely replace your marketing team with AI right now. They called it a recipe for disaster.
Whoa, recipe for disaster. That's strong. Why?
Because from their experience, you still need that human oversight, the editing, the strategic thinking. Without it, they felt the quality of the output is just not there.
So it needs a human hand.
Definitely. They even write A/B tests, AI written pages versus manually written pages on their websites. The manual versions, they pretty much always won in terms of traffic gains, consistently.
Okay. So the dream of just like feeding prompts into a machine and getting instant high-ranking traffic-driving content, that's maybe not quite the reality yet.
Not for totally replacing the human element, no.
Yeah.
But, and this is really important, they weren't dismissing AI either.
Ah, okay. There's a nuance here.
Exactly. They were very clear. AI is still valuable, it's powerful, and it's absolutely here to stay.
Right.
It's just that maybe its biggest, most practical value right now isn't in mass content generation. It might be somewhere else.
That makes a lot more sense. So if it's not about firing your writers, where are these experts seeing AI make a real tangible difference today? What's working?
This is where it started to get really practical and honestly quite exciting. They found huge wins using AI for specific tasks.
Tasks, like what kind of tasks?
Things focused on automation and augmentation. Basically, using AI to save time, serious time, and making existing processes way more efficient.
Okay, saving time, making things efficient. That sounds useful. Can you give some examples? What tools did they mention?
Yeah, sure. One they talked about was Opus.pro. Have you heard of it?
I think so, vaguely. What does it do?
So you take a long video like a webinar, maybe a podcast recording like this, or a long interview.
Okay.
You feed it into Opus.pro. It chews through the video, finds what it thinks are the interesting moments.
The potential clips.
Exactly. And it even rates their potential for virality on a scale like 1 to 100.
Wow, really? It predicts virality.
Yeah, and it doesn't just give a score. It explains why it thinks that particular clip might take off. And then it adds captions automatically.
Okay, hold on. Anyone who's ever tried to chop up a long video into short, shareable social clips knows how incredibly time-consuming that is.
Oh, absolutely. Finding the right bits, editing them down, adding captions. It's hours of work.
So this tool basically does the editing heavy lifting, as they put it.
That's the phrase they used, yeah. Saves a ton of time. Another one they mentioned was castmagic.io.
Castmagic for podcasts.
Yep. Aimed at podcasters. You upload your audio file, and it processes it to automatically create time-stamped show notes. It suggests social media posts like whole tweet storms, descriptions for the episode, title ideas.
Again, sounds like it takes all those admin-heavy, kind of repetitive tasks that always pile up and just handles them.
Precisely. That time-saving aspect was a really big theme in their discussion.
Makes sense.
And they gave another example that I thought was particularly powerful, using HubSpot's ChatSpot.
ChatSpot, that's like a chatbot for your business data, right?
Exactly. The idea is you could just ask it questions in plain English about your own business performance data in real time.
Like what kind of question?
Like, what was our average customer lifetime value over the last 9 months? Or which marketing channel brought in the most leads last quarter? Stuff like that.
Okay, but why is getting that instantly so important? I mean, you could probably get that data eventually through reports, right?
You could, but think about how it usually works. Getting a specific number like that often means you have to put in a request.
To the data team or
Yeah.
marketing ops, finance maybe.
Yeah, different departments. And they said, realistically, getting that answer back could take, 3 to 4 days or like an entire week.
A week. Yeah, I can see that happening.
And then what if the report isn't quite right? Or you have a follow-up question based on the number.
That's another delay. Back in the queue.
Exactly. And like you said before, maybe the moment has passed. The opportunity you spotted or the problem you wanted to fix, you lose momentum.
Okay, I see the value proposition there. Instant access to your own data just by asking.
Yeah, and tools like ChatSpot don't just give you the number. They can potentially make recommendations based on it. They saw this as tackling a real problem for businesses, speeding up that whole data-to-decision cycle. It's about making strategy definition much faster, much more agile.
So it's not just getting data, it's getting actionable data right when you need it.
That's the key.
So listening to these examples, video clipping, podcast notes, data queries, it really sounds like the AI that's proving most useful today isn't quite the, super intelligent, conscious AI from science fiction. Not like HAL 9000 or something from iRobot.
No, definitely not. And that's a really important distinction they made. Most of what's delivering practical, everyday value right now fits under the umbrella of automated intelligence or augmented intelligence.
Automated or augmented, what's the difference?
Automated intelligence is basically AI doing tasks that humans used to do, but faster or more efficiently, like the video clipping. Augmented intelligence is AI helping humans do their jobs better or make smarter decisions, like the ChatSpot data analysis.
So it's about enhancing human capability, not replacing human thought entirely.
Exactly. It's AI helping us perform tasks faster, analyze information better, save time. It's not yet, an artificial general intelligence that can think and reason and converse just like us. We're using AI to become more efficient, more effective humans.
That's a really useful way to frame it. Okay, shifting slightly.
Yeah.
When they were playing around with the big language models themselves, like Google's Bard and OpenAI's ChatGPT, did they have a preference?
They did, actually, and it was, well, maybe a bit surprising given ChatGPT's popularity.
Oh.
Both of them, independently, said they were getting much more better output from Bard than from ChatGPT.
Really? Much better. Even compared to the paid version of ChatGPT. One of them was paying for it, right?
Yep, even compared to the paid tier. They both consistently found Bard's responses more useful for their marketing tasks.
Huh. That is interesting. Did they speculate why that might be? Any theories?
Their main hypothesis, and it seems logical, was about the data. They figured Google likely has access to a significantly larger data set.
Because of Google search and all the web crawling they do.
Exactly. All those search queries, all the websites, Google indexes, that's an immense amount of information to train on. More data often leads to a more robust, maybe more nuanced model.
Makes sense. And didn't they also mention another Google model, Gemini?
Yes. They brought up Gemini.ai. They referenced this prediction. I don't know where it came from originally, but the prediction was that Gemini was already more powerful than ChatGPT and was potentially on track to be something like 20 times more powerful by the end of 2024.
20 times. In roughly a year.
I know. The scale of potential improvement, that fast,
Yeah.
It's kind of mind-bending, isn't it? Really shows the pace of development here.
It absolutely does. Okay, so we've talked about AI for content needs caution. AI for tasks, big time saver. What did these experts see as the biggest, maybe most overlooked opportunity for marketers with AI right now?
Right. This was, I think, the core insight they wanted to share. The area where they felt most marketers were kind of missing the boat currently.
That is.
Using AI for analytics and data analysis.
Analytics. But marketers already use analytics tools, right? Google Analytics, platform dashboards.
They do. But think about it differently. Imagine pulling all your advertising data together. Everything.
Like Facebook ads, Google ads, Bing, LinkedIn, maybe Reddit, Snapchat, all of it in one place.
All of it, yeah. Consolidated. Now imagine an AI layer on top of that. Its job isn't just to display the data in charts. Its job is to constantly sift through it in real time, looking for patterns, anomalies, opportunities, problems.
Okay, so it's actively analyzing, not just reporting.
Actively analyzing. It could ping a human manager and say, hey, looks like there's significant wastage in this campaign's ad spend, or this campaign just dipped below our target CPA flag, or maybe, whoa, this channel's performance just spiked, potential opportunity here.
So instead of me having to manually dig through 5 different dashboards every day trying to spot these things, the AI brings the important stuff directly to my attention.
Precisely. Proactive alerts.
Yeah.
And maybe even takes it a step further.
How so?
It would prompt you for a decision. It flags that underperforming campaign and asks, okay, what do you want to do? Spend more, spend less, or stop this campaign?
Ah, so it forces an action based on the insight.
Yes. Automating the detection of the insight and triggering the action or decision. They genuinely believe this kind of application could save companies so much money.
I can totally see that. Even optimizing ad spend by a few percentage points, that adds up incredibly fast, especially for larger advertisers.
Huge amounts. And think about the reality for many marketing teams. People get busy. Do marketers really log into every single ad platform's detailed analytics every single day? Or even every week? Probably not.
Yeah, realistically, no, not consistently digging into everything.
And even when they do see something, turning that insight into a concrete action doesn't always happen immediately. AI could bridge that gap. It's like this tireless assistant, constantly monitoring, surfacing the crucial bits, and pushing for that decision. It ties back to that ChatSpot example, learning really quickly if something is working well for you or not, and then being able to act on it immediately.
Faster learning loops driven by AI analysis. Okay, that feels like a really significant potential shift. Beyond those main areas, tasks, and analytics, did they talk about any other, maybe more strategic ways they've found AI useful?
Yeah, a couple other interesting applications came up. One was using AI to help create the basic structure, the foundation for simple tools.
Simple tools, like what, like those free calculators or little widgets you sometimes see on websites?
Exactly like that. They mentioned using AI to generate the starting code or the core logic for something like an A/B testing significance calculator.
Okay.
Now, they were clear, AI probably isn't ready to build you a super complex sauce tool like a competitor to SEMrush or something. Not yet, anyway.
Right.
But for simpler, focused tools, it can give your internal developers a massive head start. It spits out a functional baseline, a framework that they can then take, refine, build upon, and integrate properly.
And what's the strategic play there? Why bother offering free tools on your site?
Well, they highlighted two big long-term wins they've seen personally from doing this over the years. First, these tools, if they're genuinely useful, tend to generate good traffic gains over time. Not overnight, but consistently building over, say, 6 months or more.
Okay. Sustained traffic.
And second, maybe even more importantly, useful tools attract natural backlinks. People link to them because they're helpful resources, and those kinds of earned links are gold for SEO. They pointed to examples like Ubersuggest or Answer. The public companies built around powerful free tools that generated tons of links and traffic.
Smart. So you use AI to accelerate the creation of something valuable, and that value then pays off in traffic and authority over the long haul. Makes sense. Any other strategic uses they discussed?
Yes, one more was infographics.
Ah, infographics. Still popular.
Apparently so, but they weren't talking about AI designing the graphic itself, like using Midjourney to make the pictures.
Okay, so how does AI help with infographics then?
It helps with the prep work, specifically the data collection and helping to structure the narrative or the story the infographic is trying to tell.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you want to create an infographic about how different colors affect people's purchasing decisions online.
Okay, psychology of color.
Right. You'll need specific points like what message does blue convey, how does red create urgency, etc. And for each point, you need data. Statistics, research findings, examples.
The research part can be really tedious.
Exactly. So they described using models like Bard or ChatGPT as research assistants. You feed them the points you want to make, the angles you're exploring, and ask them to find supporting stats, relevant studies, interesting relationships in the data.
Ah, so AI does the grunt work of finding the facts and figures.
Pretty much. It dramatically speeds up that research phase. It gives you the raw material, the data points, the potential narrative structure, which you can then hand off to a designer or use in a tool like Canva or Infogram to actually build the visual infographic.
Okay, that definitely sounds like a practical way to use AI to streamline a common content creation process. Less about writing, more about research support.
Exactly. They also briefly touched on how all this automation might impact the agency world.
Oh, how so?
Their thinking was that by using AI to automate tasks and make workflows more efficient, agencies could potentially increase their gross margins quite a bit.
Makes sense. Less manual labor costs for the same output.
Right. And looking further out, maybe 5 or 10 years, having higher, more efficient margins could make those agency businesses potentially more valuable if they were ever looking to sell. Just an interesting side thought they threw out there.
Yeah, potential long-term business impact.
Yeah.
Did they bring in any outside perspectives? I think you mentioned insights from the All-In Summit.
They did, yeah. They wanted to provide a bit of broader context on the general sentiment around AI's future.
And what was the vibe from that summit, according to them?
Generally, the feeling relayed was pretty optimistic, a prevailing belief that, on the whole, AI is likely to be a net positive to humanity.
Okay, generally positive. But were there caveats? Concerns?
Oh, yes. They made sure to balance that optimism by including perspectives like Elon Musk's. He and others have raised flags about potential risks,
Risks like?
particularly around the alignment of incentives as AI gets more powerful.
Yeah.
Ensuring these incredibly capable systems are working towards goals that benefit humanity, especially if they become concentrated in closed, non-transparent systems. The need for caution, for deliberate effort to steer AI development responsibly.
So cautious optimism seems like a fair summary. Interesting, going back to marketing content for a second, they also talked about how content might get surfaced or ranked within these AI chat platforms like Bard or ChatGPT. Is that like a new kind of SEO?
That's kind of how they framed it. Yeah, their thinking is when you ask Bard a question, how does it decide what information to synthesize and present?
Good question.
It's likely looking at the underlying sources it was trained on and evaluating them based on factors similar to what traditional search engines use. Things like backlinks indicating authority, the inherent credibility of the source, the quality, the depth of the content itself.
So the basics of good content marketing still apply, creating high quality, trustworthy, authoritative stuff. The EEAT concept, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness.
They believe it's crucially important. Their take was essentially, you can't fake it, even with AI in the mix. Trying to use shortcuts to game the system might give you a temporary blip, but it's unlikely to build real lasting authority, whether that's on Google search or within these AI answer engines.
No shortcuts to quality.
Pretty much. And they actually shared some, let's say, illustrative anecdotes about black hat SEO tactics they themselves experimented with way back.
Oh, really? Black
Yeah.
Hat, like what kind of stuff did they try?
Things from the Wild West days of SEO,
Yeah.
trying to buy links hidden in the code of WordPress themes, embedding links with optimized anchor text into random meme websites, using widgets purely designed to stuff keywords and links, buying expired domains just because they had some lingering authority and redirecting them.
Wow. Sounds definitely not above board.
Absolutely questionable.
Yeah.
And they were very clear this was early days stuff, often just experimenting on sites they didn't really care about long term, just to see what would happen.
Okay, so they learned from trying the sketchy stuff.
Exactly. Their firm position now, and what they actively practice and recommend, is strictly white hat SEO. Only ethical, value-driven techniques.
And just to clarify, what's the core difference again? Black hat versus white hat?
So Black Hat is all about those aggressive tactics, often breaking search engine rules, trying to manipulate rankings for quick wins, think spammy links, keyword stuffing, cloaking.
Got it. And white hat?
White Hat is the opposite. It's about playing by the rules, creating genuine value for users, earning links and authority naturally through high-quality content, good user experience, and building real relationships.
So why did they ultimately land on white hat only?
Because, as they learned firsthand through all that experimentation, Black Hat might give you a short-term boost, but it's unsustainable. You eventually get caught, Google's algorithms get smarter, you get penalized, your rankings vanish, and you're constantly fighting fires. Doing things in a clean way, the white hat way, might feel slower at the start, but it builds a solid, lasting foundation. It's sustainable success. They basically concluded it's just easier and way more rewarding in the long run.
So understanding the whole landscape, white, black, gray area tactics is valuable knowledge.
Yeah, to know what not to do and why.
But committing to the ethical white hat approach is the only way to build something real and lasting.
That was their very strong conclusion, and it reinforces that idea they kept coming back to. You need to think for yourself, get your hands dirty, gain direct experience. You can't just read about why black hat is bad. Trying it and failing really hammers home why the clean approach works better long term.
Which actually brings us perfectly to what might be the single most important takeaway from their entire conversation. Given how fast AI is changing everything, how did they actually figure all this stuff out? How did they get these insights about where AI works in marketing and where it doesn't?
Their answer was crystal clear and really simple.
Okay.
It wasn't by reading endless articles or just listening to conference talks. They learned by actually trying it out.
Just doing it. The hands-on approach, experimentation.
Exactly. They described spending real time just playing around with Bard, playing around with ChatGPT, trying out a whole bunch of different tools for different things. Content tools, yes, but also image generation, transcription services, and especially those video clipping and short-form video tools we talked about.
Like Opus and Cast Magic.
Right. And crucially, they didn't just use the tools. They systematically tested them, running A/B tests constantly, directly comparing the results from AI against their established manual processes.
So it wasn't just playing, it was structured experimentation, putting AI head-to-head with traditional methods and measuring the actual outcomes.
That's exactly it, letting the data, the results, tell them what was really working and what was just hype.
And they see that approach, that willingness to experiment and test as essential.
Absolutely essential. They frame that hands-on experimental mindset as the key, not just for understanding AI today, but for staying relevant in marketing period, for consistently getting the best results for their own projects and for their clients as this technology continues to evolve at warp speed.
Wow. Okay, this has been a really illuminating deep dive, grounding the AI hype in practical experience. Let's try and quickly recap the main lessons we've pulled from these experts' conversation.
Sounds good. First, maybe pump the brakes on thinking AI will instantly replace all your content creation needs.
Right. The current output for purely AI-driven content is often mediocre without a lot of human help. Trying to replace staff entirely right now, a recipe for disaster.
Second, the real immediate wins are in using AI for automation and augmentation, saving huge amounts of time on specific tasks.
Like video editing, podcast notes.
And especially accessing and understanding your business data faster with tools like ChatSpot. That drives quicker, smarter decisions. Remember, it's mostly automated or augmented intelligence right now, helping us.
Third, don't assume all AI models are equal. Their experience showed Bard outperforming ChatGPT, possibly due to data scale. And models like Gemini promise massive leaps soon. Hands-on testing is key.
Fourth, and maybe the biggest takeaway, don't sleep on AI for analytics. Consolidating data and letting AI proactively find wastage and opportunities. That could save companies so much money and force a more disciplined, data-driven approach.
Yeah, that felt like a major untapped area.
And finally, some strategic wins in using AI to help build basic website tools good for traffic and links long-term and streamlining infographic research. But underpinning all of this
was their commitment to learning by doing. Not reading, but actually trying things out, testing, experimenting. As one of them quoted, "Think bigger, we're just scratching the surface."
Absolutely. That hands-on experimentation is the only way to truly grasp what AI can and can't do for you right now.
Definitely. So listening to all this, the key really is getting your hands dirty yourself. You can't just rely on headlines and what others say. You need to test these tools in your own context. Okay, to wrap things up, here's something for you, our listener, to really think about.
Okay.
We heard how fast models like Midjourney for images and ChatGPT for text have improved in just over a year. We heard the predictions about Gemini being potentially 20 times more powerful soon. So consider the marketing tasks you do every day. The ones that feel complex, maybe tedious, maybe things you think AI could never do today. Now, project forward. Given the incredible pace of improvement we're seeing, what might AI be capable of doing with those specific tasks in just the next 1 or 2 years? What might become automated or radically transformed? And crucially, what does that possibility mean for the skills you need to develop and the way you approach marketing, starting right now?
That's a powerful thought to end on. The landscape is shifting fast.
It certainly is. We release new episodes every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Thank you for tuning in to the Z Consulting Podcast, where we discuss the ins and outs of business. Looking forward to having you join us again.